Hey guys, hi, how are you guys? Tonight we're going to be talking about formal communication. There are lots of times where I have indulged in a lot of informal communication because my style of communicating overall. My style is pretty much like very casual. The way that I talk is very, very common and casual, and I just try to create a bond with the person through my communication style. Now, while some may call it a completely informal way of communication, but that's not quite true. In terms of certain scenarios wherein I'm supposed to be interacting with certain set of people, and when I know that it's a whole white collar event, I have to be very, very formal out there, and formal with that in a little touch of what I usually have. And that's something that I'm going to teach you guys, that how can you sound formal in terms of communication but still sound authentic and not fake. So events like maybe a pitch, like when you're a startup, you go for a pitch. There are many events that you have to go to. There are certain networking events, and especially when they're paid events, usually they're very formal events. And when we go there, there's a certain set of etiquettes that are very, very important. You must have seen in Bond films, or if you watch Suits, or any other show that you must have watched, or movies that you must have watched. They wear those tuxedos, and they wear those nice suits, and for the ladies they wear those nice gowns and things like that. At that event, because a lot of communication happens without you even opening your mouth. Like, there's a lot of things that are actually practiced out there. Now, many of you might not like it. Many of you might even feel like that's all a show off and everything like that. But actually, it all speaks a lot about what you're reflecting and considering the kind of audience. Now, very frankly, I'm not the guy who always wears suits. I can't wear suits all the time. But when it comes to an event wherein I have to engage with such kind of people, it's pretty much marketing there. When I'm networking, I need to make sure a lot of communication is happening without me even opening my mouth. And if you remember, most of the communication actually happens without you opening your mouth. A lot of people are going to talk to you also, depending on how your attire is talking to them. A lot of people are going to talk to you based on the kind of non-verbal communications that you are doing with other people, perhaps, or when you're talking to them and they can't even listen to your words. That is when they kind of realize that, should I talk to this person or not? All those things really, really matter a lot. Now, let me give you some basic tips which are really going to enable you to go forward and attend formal events. And in fact, I'll even tell you that even when it comes to one-on-one meetings and many other things, even interviews for that matter, job interview is a formal event in a way, just that it's very concided. It's short. So some of the things that are very, very important to understand, and these are some etiquettes which are extremely, extremely important for each one of us to kind of know about, but somehow we miss out on them. So let me share a few tips around that, and I feel that it's very, very important for a lot of us to know. Number one, a lot of us, and especially I had this problem. I used to laugh a lot and show off all my teeth. That is actually one of the things which is not appreciated when it comes to a formal medium of communication. So when you're trying to speak in a sort of a environment wherein you're laughing with all your teeth showing, it's really not a good sign. Okay, like usually it is considered good etiquette that when you're smiling, you should have your lips kind of joined and you're smiling subtly, not ha 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 ha. It's just not something good. That's one thing that must you need to be a little subtle. You need to be very, very well, like you're getting slowly out there and understand the difference. Okay, so when you're with a set of friends who you already know, of course there you laugh like with you can laugh as loud as you feel like with all your teeth showing. But when it comes to people you don't know, these people are going to they're actually going to judge you based on the kind of informal communication that you're going to do with them. So when you come to them and you're not even like coming to them, perhaps they're seeing you further away and you're laughing ha 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 ha, that's really not a good sign. Like, it shows some level of erratic behavior which might stop them from approaching you. So in many of the events, it's not just you who has to go and approach them, but with your attitude and your non-verbal behavior with other people, or the way that you're standing will actually impact a lot as to how they would actually come and approach to you and talk to you. Second thing is the way that you're standing. Your posture or standing actually makes a major difference. Like a lot of people slouch, like they have this habit of slouching when they're talking, and they'll be like, yeah, today we did this and we did that, and etc, etc, etc. It's not quite smart. It's really not smart at all. You should always, like, I'll give you a small example, and one thing that you must keep in mind. So for example, let's say this is the wall. Okay, this is the wall. All you have to do is, let's say this is your face and this is your back. Just lean towards the back and stand straight against the wall. That's the actual posture that you should have. Just silently just go stand up and you lean towards the wall. And when you lean towards the wall, just make sure that your shoulders are touching both parts of the wall. And when you do, that is the right way that your body posture should be when you're talking, when you're standing. Let's talk about the third point, and that is in certain events where you have to dance. Now, when you're in an event where you have to dance, one of the things that is very, very important is you do not raise your hands above your shoulders. Like, that's another thing. Like, basic etiquettes when you're going out there. Like, sure, you could be like the best dancer, no problem. You can do all those things in a club, in a party place. That's perfectly fine. But when you're out there networking and trying to convince people and trying to be approachable and trying to be, in a manner that you want to network with people and want to make sure that these people gel along with you well, that's a place where you should try and keep your hands below the shoulder whenever you're dancing, and that just gives a more classier vibe. Yeah, 3 things as of now that you can definitely adhere to and go forward with. Chalo, आगे बढ़ते हैं थोड़ा सा, and let's talk about some of the basic etiquettes that when you are meeting a person. So when you're meeting a person in an event, and the first thing that you say, like, usually stands for when you're going to meeting a person, the first thing you're going to say is hello, good evening, good afternoon, whatever it is. Okay. Hello, good afternoon. May I know what brings you here? May I know what brings you here? I didn't say, hey, what brings you here? No, I said, hello, good evening, or good afternoon, whatever it is. May I know what brings you here? When you use the word may I, it's always usually polite. That's a very great way of just going forward and conveying your message. So when you want to make or network in an event, one of the best things that is a great conversation starter is hello, good evening. May I know what brought you here? So what actually pushed you to actually come here to this event? And that's what you're trying to ask. So they can be like, yeah, I'm actually into the sales department and my company asked me to come here. Or they could say, yeah, actually I'm into this, and thus I came here. And that can enable a conversation. And that is why the first question to break a conversation usually can be that, hello, good evening. May I know what brought you here? Or may I know what brings you here? That kind of a thing. Fifth point, let's come to the fifth point. One of the other things that are very, very important is a deeper tone while you're speaking. Now, a lot of people get nervous, and some of the signs of nervousness, apart from sweating, is that they smile a lot. Ha ha ha, yeah, I was totally ready, and yeah, yeah. I mean, that's what they do. They smile a lot with their teeth, and their pitch goes higher. Apart from sweating, or they start trembling, they start showing their teeth a lot with a smile, which is just awkward, so they don't know what to do. Like, yeah, I know, something like that. So, they start doing something like that. And apart from that, their pitch starts going higher and their speed start going faster. So they'll be like, yeah, I mean, yes, absolutely, and they'll start doing something like that. And that is something that we need to control. Like, if that comes out, one of the things that we must control of is we need to have full control over how we are speaking. This is where non-verbal communication plays a major role. And when it comes to non-verbal communication, these are some of the tips that we have actually spoken about, which you need to be doing. I feel a lot of you might benefit a lot from this, but if you need to adhere to this very, very carefully. When it comes to apologizing, please don't apologize just like this. For example, in this, what are you sorry for? Like, what is your mistake? Technically, it's not your mistake. You got a call. How is that your mistake? Now, you might feel like I'm just being polite, but the thing is, when a time comes where you need to actually say sorry, your sorry won't matter because you said sorry way too many times. That's, by the way, the same thing in relationships, right? Like, when you use one word again and again, when you really have to use this word, that word becomes stale. So in the same way, you must avoid words like sorry in your dictionary. Like, don't use sorry that often. Use sorry. I mean, sure, that's what I said, right? At the very beginning of the session, that the one thing I said was there are a lot of things that are taught to you in school, but in real life, that's a horrible thing to do. So when you say sorry too many times, like, the person loses respect, that, you're not commanding respect in any way, right? So avoid using the word sorry, and don't use it just like that. Use it in a genuine situation, when it is your fault. But here it's not your fault. You got a call and it's more important than the person out there. So you have to take it. So you're not going to use the word sorry. So what are you going to use? So when I receive a call, I'm perhaps going to say something like, excuse me, I really need to take this call. I'll be right back. If you're working with a client and use the word sorry again and again, they're going to get sick and tired eventually. They don't like it. They're going to be like, yeah, every time you have this habit of saying sorry, please, I think we've had enough. They'll lose their patience after a point of time. You need to maintain your self-respect out there. You will not say sorry just for the heck of saying sorry. You must say sorry when you're wrong, definitely wrong. But in a situation where it's not really your fault, don't unnecessarily waste the sorry. Okay, use that hatyar, use that weapon for a later time. It's like that. So that's one of the things. And yeah, in a networking event, always, whenever you're trying to get out of a place, always say something like, I'll be right back, so that they're expecting you. So even if they disperse, that's okay. But technically in their head, they would remember, oh, I have to wait for that person. That person just left and is going to return, or she's going to return. And that's something that you must keep in mind. All right, guys, I hope you had a good session. You learned a few things. I want you to go to the Telegram group and list down all the things that you learned, because for the people who did not attend, they must know what exactly did they miss. And plus, it really helps me as well, because it acts as testimonials, whatever things you learned about. I also get to know that and plus it's kind of a good recall for you all. So see you in the Telegram group. Hope you had a good session. Take care. See you on Thursday now. Bye-bye.